Do you want to know how I got these scars?
Probably because you went into a movie theater and spoiled Star Wars for a bunch of little kids.
Yes.
You're a monster.
I'm no monster, Bats. I'm your father. Welcome back to Two Book Nerds and a Microphone. I'm your host, Ian.
And I'm your host, Hank.
And we are here to talk to you about... That's right. We're here to talk to you in full spoiler edition about Star Wars The Force Awakens.
This is a spoiler-filled episode. If you have not seen Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens,
do not listen to the rest of this episode yet.
Turn this off and go back and re-listen to the previous episode.
And then go watch The Force Awakens.
Yes. Do not listen to this episode if you have not seen The Force Awakens, because we will tell you about things that you don't want to know about.
They're beautiful things, and they're amazing things, and they make me very happy. But if you don't want to hear that yet, go watch the movie.
Yeah, because you will be angry at us.
And we are sorry, but we gave you fair warning.
Fair warning.
Like 7 times now.
So, we are recording this on New Year's Eve, 2015.
Yay!
Happy New Year to everybody. I hope your 2015 was great. I hope your 2016 is even better. And I hope you read lots of books and are going to read a lot more books next year. Spoilers begin
now.
5, 4, 3. Turn it off if you haven't seen it. You have no excuses. 2, 1.
Alright, so where do we begin?
So we went to see Star Wars Christmas afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And the theater was packed.
Yes.
At 3 o'clock, 3:50.
We were there like 5 minutes late. The commercial was still playing, and we had to sit toward the front of the theater because there's just nowhere else to sit. And usually going to see a movie on Christmas is kind of empty and everything. But then again, it's been 30-something years since we've seen Episode 6. So I think it's perfectly normal for people to fill the theater up on Christmas Day to go see Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm not even mad.
We saw the first Hobbit movie on Christmas Day.
And there were like 5 people there.
Yeah, was that like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it was.
4 years ago.
And yeah. And that, coming off of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, everyone really hoped that The Hobbit was going to be amazing. And it did all kind of crazy numbers, but Christmas Day, there was not a big crowd.
Yeah.
Star Wars, completely different story. Yeah. So, first off, I saw Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, or as we called it, Star Wars. When I was 6 years old, 7 years old. Came out in 1977.
You were about 6.
I was about 6, but I want to say that I saw it late.
Maybe so.
Like, it was playing at a drive-in movie theater where we live. And I'm pretty sure this was like a second run of it. Pretty sure my parents saw it first time out. So anyway, I think it might have been like spring of the fall. Anyway, I was 6 or 7, regardless. And I remember after seeing the movie, everybody on the playground was playing Luke Skywalker and Han Solo. And it was nuts. So it was this, when people talk about things being a cultural touchstone and phenomenon and all that kind of stuff, this was it if there ever was one for a kid in the late 70s.
Right.
And, but you came, what was the first Star Wars movie you remember watching?
I remember bits and pieces of Phantom Menace when I was like 7 or 8.
Did you not see the others before that, though?
Mm-mm.
No?
I'd heard of them, but I don't think I'd seen them before.
Who were your parents?
I don't know. And back then, I did not care about the plot whatsoever. I was like, you know what? They got laser guns and they got shiny laser swords. Sign me up. I'm sitting here and I'm going to watch the crap out of this.
And you were all in for Jar Jar Binks.
I was like, all right. He's like, all right, okay, whatever. I mean, he looks all right. I'm 5 years old. I don't care. And then I turned 13 and I'm like, wow. No. So going into the theater to see episode 7 after watching the original trilogy in my youth and going to see the continuing story, it was kind of an emotional experience. I'm just tell you right now, because after watching the prequels and actually understanding what they were about and realizing, wow, there's a lot of terrible acting and there's just a lot of people sitting around talking. I thought, big Jedi Order, the Jedi Council, the Clone Wars, I thought there would be a whole lot more action and fighting, but no. It's just a bunch of old aliens sitting around talking about stuff.
Yeah, and the bad guy was politics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gets me fired up right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta go storm something now.
So we did not see episodes 1 or 2 in the theater. We watched them on home video, but we did see episode 3.
In theater.
Back when you rented VHS tapes.
Yeah.
We did see episode 3 in the theater, though.
And it was a pretty movie. It sucked less than the other two.
Right.
It's still pretty bad.
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor's like the best part of that movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool to see the
how Vader fell and everything.
Yeah, and the character progression. And you can say what you want about Hayden Christensen and his acting, and I'm not gonna crap on him because I mean, he was a guy that had no training and no experience and was thrust into probably an impossible situation.
Yeah,
probably.
I can see that works.
Yeah, acting was not stellar.
No.
But, I wouldn't want to be put in that situation either. So,
right.
I'm going to give him a little grace. Anyway, so we thought when episode 3 came and went, okay, this saga's over, and that's going to be the last of the Star Wars we're ever going to see, and we just hold on to our fond memories of the first trilogy.
Because that's all we're ever going to get.
Yeah, and we'll just kind of pretend that second trilogy...
Didn't happen.
And then J.J. Abrams, first Disney
acquires
Star Wars, and then J.J. signs on, and I think we all kind of liked what he did with the Star Trek reboot, and it lacks a lot of what made the original Star Trek, but
I never really
cool
got into Star Trek, so it's cool to me anyway.
Yeah, so it's a good action flick, whatever. So people were skeptical about Star Wars, but kind of excited.
Right.
And the excitement is pretty evident that it's, a week out and broke $1 billion worldwide.
It just passed Avengers today, I think.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it. I think it's going to unseat Avatar and all that stuff.
I hope it does.
Yeah. How did Avatar make that kind of money and nobody admits to going to see Avatar?
I have absolutely no idea. Like, I don't quite get it. It's a good movie. Yeah, it's visually gorgeous. I don't really get what the big deal was, but alright.
Well, I can't ever... Like, it. Evidently, everybody went to see it at the theater and saw it multiple times.
But nobody wants to talk about it.
And nobody wants to talk about it, and if you ask random people on the street, did you see Avatar in the theater? Everybody says, nope.
Nope.
So, I don't know.
I mean, somebody did.
Somebody did.
Unless there's that one guy that bought all the tickets in the theater and just watched it like 7 times.
Over and over and over again.
Because he just really freaking loved that movie.
Yeah.
Props to you, bro.
Yeah, I mean, handle your business, but, you know, whatevs. So this whole confluence of events winds us up at the theater on Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
What did I think?
Spoilers.
All right.
If you're still listening and you've not gone to see it, it's your own fault.
I'm going to admit, when the fanfare start playing and you see the gold letters that say Star Wars, and they start fading into the galaxy, and then the big yellow text scrolls up and everything, explaining the plot of the movie you're about to watch. I kind of fanboyed a minute, just a little bit, because the last time I saw that was episode 3, and then we saw how that turned out. So yeah. Well, this is the start of a brand new trilogy, and I don't remember the start of a brand new trilogy because I was 4 years old and all I wanted to do was watch the shiny laser swords. I didn't care about anything. Well, now I want to see what's going to happen. I got to see what they want to do, where the characters go, how the plot goes, all that. So, start of a brand new trilogy, and I'm in the theater and I'm watching it play out right before my eyes, and I'm like, all right, this is it. That's how. Yes, okay.
You got a little goosebumpy, didn't you?
I did, actually.
Yeah.
My first question: who was the old guy in the first scene that Poe was talking to? He gives Poe the map to Skywalker. First of all, who's the old guy? Why does he have the map that leads to Skywalker? Why does he give it to Poe? And then why does he die within 2 minutes without knowing who he is? Like, really? So many questions, and it's only been 5 minutes.
Trilogy setup.
Alright. Yeah. Second, Finn. Finn is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Alright, here's my thing. Everyone got mad when the trailer came out that there was a black stormtrooper. Because everyone's like, he's a clone of Jango Fett. Well, Jango doesn't look like that. So why are all the stormtroopers look different? Well, does nobody remember from the first trilogy when Luke was going to go to the what was it called? The Imperial Academy?
Yeah, he was going to join the Empire.
So, it's clear that there are some stormtroopers that look like Jango Fett. But as the Empire grows, they're probably going to bring more people in.
Yeah.
So
when he even talked about that they would go in and snatch up kids and, and reprogram them for
brainwashing.
Brainwash. So, yeah, if that's your major hang-up, get over it.
Yeah.
It's stupid. Get over it.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Just give the boy a chance.
Yeah.
Now, so we see in the beginning Kylo Ren and Captain Phasma. Was Phasma even there or was it just Ren?
I don't remember.
I think it was just Ren. He's like, alright, we killed the old guy, and we're going to take this, we're not going to call him Rebel, Resistance fighter now, Poe Dameron. We're going to take him in, and we're going to extract information from him. So, we want you to kill everybody else. So, this whole legion of stormtroopers just lays waste to his village. Except for one, who just kind of chickens out. He can't bring himself to shoot these innocent people. So, Kylo Ren takes Poe Dameron, and he brings him back to his Star Destroyer ship, and he tries to torture information out of him. Now, Finn, who doesn't actually have a name at this point, because all stormtroopers are just given a number, in this case, it's FN2187, or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, Captain Phasma chews him out for taking his helmet off on his ship and everything, and he's having this existential crisis, and he doesn't know what to do anymore, and all this stuff. And we cut over to Kylo Ren, who's still wearing his Vader-esque mask, and torturing Poe Dameron, trying to figure out where Luke Skywalker is. Now, bear in mind, Poe doesn't actually know. He just got the little map, and then he gave it to BB-8 right before the stormtroopers came in and everything. For those...
Can I say BB-8 nearly stole the movie?
I'm just saying,
BB-8 was freaking awesome.
Yes.
I don't care if you don't like BB-8. I loved him, and...
her, I don't know what it is.
Whatever it is.
I don't know.
I'm just going to call him Bob. So, it's a he. If robots even have gender, who cares?
I don't care,
who cares? BB-8 was awesome.
Yes.
Anyway, go ahead.
So, Poe gives BB-8 the little map, and Kylo Ren is torturing him for information he doesn't have. Well, Finn here is like, man, I should probably help that guy. So, a bunch of stormtroopers are escorting Poe Dameron to some other torture facility or something, whatever. I don't know how that worked. So, Finn's like, hey, buddy, come over here with me, and I'm going to escort you to a torture chamber. And Poe's like, wait, where are we going? He's like, I'm breaking you out. Wait, not for real. Yeah, I'm getting you out of here. Sweet! And then it's like instant bromance. Like Finn and Poe from the rest of the movie. It's great. So, what do? They steal a TIE fighter, because we still have those. And because of course we do, it's Star Wars. Why would we not have a TIE fighter? So, Poe's like, do you know how to fly one of these things? And he's like, no. He's like, cool, I do. You know how to shoot the missiles? No, I'm going to teach you. I'm going to fly, and you're going to shoot the missiles, and we're going to get out of here. Alright! So that's how we end up with Poe and Finn flying a TIE fighter away from a Star Destroyer ship.
A TIE fighter that was still tethered to the ground, somehow.
Because, and yes.
And
hilarity ensues.
Is it chained? Is this a
pipe?
Is this a fuel line? Or, it doesn't say, but they have to keep kind of ramming it until they
break free,
snatch it loose, and
all the other stormtroopers are like, wait, that's not part of the plan, is it? No.
So how does Poe know how to fly a TIE fighter?
I don't know.
See, that's another question.
Yeah, it's like I know he's the best pilot in the Resistance.
Yeah,
and
but
X-wings,
but how does that immediately qualify you to fly a TIE fighter?
Maybe it's the Force.
Yeah.
What?
A lot of people are kind of poo-pooing that whole scene and how Finn has a conscience all of a sudden, or maybe he's always had a conscience.
But he just now acts on it.
He just now or
hey, it's Star Wars. Just watch the movie.
And that Poe goes with him, and it just, and yes, those are very convenient plot devices.
Yes. But
and I did not care. I did not care.
It's fine.
I figure they've got 2.5 hours to tell me a story, and that they've got some important things that they want to tell me.
Don't nitpick. Just tell me the story.
Could they have fleshed all that out? Of course they could.
They probably did in the storyboard process.
Of course they did. But at some point, they've got 2.5 hours to tell us a large story that's going to start a new trilogy. And, do you want to see a bunch of Star Wars, or do you want to see each of the characters' motivations, thoroughly fleshed out? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sorry. It's if when you opt for feature film, there's only so much you can do.
Right.
Would this have made an awesome TV series, on HBO, a la Game of Thrones or something? Yes, it would.
Yes.
And I think that has more. I think that has more to say about film as a vehicle, as opposed to television as a vehicle, than it does about this one particular film.
Right.
So anyway, I'm a big fan of long form, really working it out, and I think we're coming to the point where that's going to be the preferred media.
Right.
I think the days of feature film being the end all be all
are coming to
an end. I don't think it can do what we've become accustomed to wanting it to do.
Right.
Anyway, I said all that to say, yes, there were some very convenient things that happened, but that's the price you pay for taking this entire story and cramming it in 2.5 hours.
Okay, so after they escape the Star Destroyer, they sort of crash land on the planet Jakku, which is totally not supposed to be Tatooine at all.
Wink, wink.
Not even supposed to remotely make you think it's Tatooine. Ever. Okay, and then we flash forward or around the planet to Rey, the mysterious, only one name, girl, scavenger, person with a bow staff, and we don't know anything about her. At all. And we probably won't for the rest of the movie. But it's okay, because she kicks butt, and she tags names, and I really like her. A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she got a lot of the same grief that Finn got.
But everyone's going to give new people grief because they're not used to them and all that.
Exactly. You know what? It's a girl. She's awesome.
Let her be awesome.
Let her be awesome.
I enjoyed it. Let her do her thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. If she can outrun a TIE fighter, I got respect for you. If you can, find a robot that has a map to Luke Skywalker, and you don't sell that robot, even though it meant getting more food for you.
Got mad love for you, Ray.
Yeah. That happened, by the way. She finds BB-8, and then she's like, hey, you're cute. I guess you can stay here with me. And then she goes to her scavenger outpost, and she tries to sell in all the things that she's found out in the desert. Because, remember, there was this big civil war, and so there are a lot of Star Destroyers lying around the sand, and there are a lot of X-Wings, and inside of all those things, you have a lot of parts and gadgets and stuff that you can scavenge and sell for scrap metal or food portions or whatever. So that's what Rey does for a living. She just kind of scavenges old war relics and buys food with the money she has. Well, she's like, well, this is a nice looking droid. I guess I could sell him for more food. And then she's like, I really shouldn't do that. So she decides to keep him. Then we flash back to Finn, who wakes up in the desert in his full stormtrooper regalia, and he can't find Poe at all. He sees this big column of smoke, and he finds a TIE fighter that they flew in, and there's nobody in it. The only thing that's in there is Poe's jacket. Poe's down. He's gone. Goodbye. Then this quicksand just swallows a TIE fighter up, and yeah. So Finn is like, I have no idea what to do. I don't really have a name. I just got this name like 5 minutes ago. I don't really have a friend, and I just found one, and now he's dead. Great. So he finds himself in the same village that Rey is in. Because when you're on a big planet, the odds of you finding the same village as the other movie's hero are pretty good odds, considering this is a movie. And again, convenient plot device, but alright. I don't mind. So, Finn's like, hey guys, how's it going? And Rey's like, hey, how's it going? And then they hear, and Finn's like, I know what that is. Pew, 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 pew. And then the TIE fighters come in. They're hunting down Finn, and they're trying to find the droid that has the map Skywalker. And conveniently, they're right beside each other. So, Finn, Rey, and BB-8 go on the run, trying to avoid blaster missiles and everything from these TIE fighters and everything. And Rey's like, I know a ship. Let's go in the ship. Okay. And they're running to the ship, and boom! Ship blows up. So Finn's like, what about this other ship? And she's like, that's a piece of garbage. Well, I don't see another ship right now. Get in the piece of garbage. We're flying away. Guess what ship the piece of garbage is?
The Millennium
Falcon.
Falcon. That's right, boys and girls.
We're back in business.
Boys back in town.
So, what we see for the next 5 minutes is this TIE Fighter Millennium Falcon chase.
That is awesome.
That is great. Yes. Where Rey is flying the Millennium Falcon, and Finn is manning the missiles. And they just take out 2, 3, 4, 5 TIE fighters like it's nobody's business, we got an entire Imperial thing here, and we got a couple rookies. Who's going to win? The rookies, of course. So, they go into outer space, and they're like, alright, I guess we should go, to the Resistance base and probably tell somebody that we're getting shot at, and we have this droid with the map to Luke Skywalker. We should probably go do that. Well, while they're in outer space, there's this big ship that pulls them in with a tractor beam. This kind of sounds familiar, doesn't it? And they're like, crap, we've been caught. This is great. We're all going to die. We all know what to do. And someone bangs on the door and opens it. And who do we see? But Han Solo. And Chewbacca, of course, but Han Solo. With the iconic line, Chewie, we're home. And I'm like, yes! Yes, you are! Yes! So Han's like...
Chewie doesn't look a day older.
At all. I mean, Han, yeah, but Chewie's just exactly the same.
Yeah, and it's kind of awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And you see stuff in this movie, like their relationship is, they're like an old married couple.
They really are.
It's kind of funny.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So Han's like, who's been taking over my ship? And Rey and Finn are just standing there awkwardly like, hi, how's it going? And Han's like, alright, where did you find my ship? We're like, it's been on the planet where I've been living for the past 20 years. Ah!
Right. It's like you stole it, and she says, no, this person stole it, and then this person stole it from that person. Then it was one in a, some sort of gambling, and,
And that's how I got it.
Right.
Well, it turns out that for the past 30-something years, Han has been getting into a little bit of trouble with some, space pirate gangs and everything. So
totally out of character for him.
Right, yeah. So these 2 space pirate gangs come on board the Millennium Falcon. And Han's like, hey, guys, remember how I owed you all that money that I don't have right now? Oh, look, a space alien's gonna eat you! So Finn and Rey unleash 3 space velociraptors that eat the space pirates. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. And because plot, they put them back in their cages and everything. The Millennium Falcon flies away and everything's fine. So,
they're like velociraptors
with tentacles,
bred with Cthulhu.
Yeah.
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 Anyway.
That's basically it. So, Han's like, I'm going to take us to a planet that has somebody with information about who you are and what we need to do and all this stuff. And enter Maz, I forget her last name, but she's this little orange grapefruit person with really big eyes who's lived for 1,000 years and apparently has a crush on Chewbacca. While they're there, Finn kind of freaks out and he's like, wait, I can't do this. I'm scared. I'm terrified. I'm going away. And Rey's like, wait, what? He's like, I'm not part of the Resistance. I was a stormtrooper. Sorry. I gotta go. And she's like, you don't have to be what you were raised to be. You can be whoever you want to be. He's like, well, that's great. That's wonderful. I gotta go. Bye. Okay. Alright. So, in the basement of Baz's place, Baz, something like that. I don't even know her name. Was it Maz? So, okay. Well, she finds an old chest. And what's inside the old chest? Just guess. Just guess what's in the old chest. Okay, I'm going to tell you. It's Luke Skywalker's lightsaber from episodes 4 and 5. You know, the one that he lost with Darth Vader because handoff's like, I am your father. You know, that one. Now, it doesn't exactly explain how she found the lightsaber, considering it kind of fell in the Cloud City indefinitely.
What goes up must come down.
Yeah. Well, apparently Maz finds it, and she's kept in this wooden box. And I didn't know this was a thing, but apparently a lightsaber can call to you and choose you, per se.
Rey!
Well, Rey has these visions of the future and everything, and how there's going to be some bad stuff coming. But it's kind of her destiny to wield the lightsaber and make sure none of that bad stuff goes worse. Kind of fix the bad stuff. Well, she kind of freaks out, because of course you do when you touch a lightsaber and it gives you this prophetic vision. What are you supposed to do? You're not going to say, oh, okay. You're going to be like, what? So Maz is like, he's giving me the look again. Yeah, you know the look.
Do you know what the lightsaber said to Rey?
What?
You are my density.
And there's a corny joke from Back to the Future. Alright. So, apparently there are spies for the first, because we're not going to say Empire, because it's the First Order now, even though it's basically the Empire. Well, there are spies that say, hey, those rebels with that droid are here. You guys should come blow the place up. So Kylo Ren and all of his stormtroopers are like, surprise! We're here to take that droid and the map. Oh, and you found Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. I'm going to steal that now. Now, I haven't told you a whole lot about Kylo Ren yet. You know how every Sith has a signature move? For, like, the Emperor, it was Force Lightning. For Vader, it was the Force Choke. And then there's Kylo Ren, who, he just kind of freezes things.
And it's kind of awesome.
Like, I didn't know you could do that. I knew there was Force Push and there was Force everything like that. I didn't know you could, like, freeze a blaster rifle missile in midair.
Yeah. At that first scene where Kylo shows up when they're annihilating the village.
It just freezes a blaster missile.
He holds this blaster bolt
in midair
while he commences to kick butt.
I didn't know you could do that.
Like, what?
But I like it.
When he walks off, he lets it go and it
just blows up. And
yeah. It's sweet.
So he meets up with Rey and he's like, you've seen the Skywalker map. I'm going to bring you in now. And he kind of freezes her where she can't move and she's freaking out. And then he knocks her out with the Force and everything because you can do that. So he carries her onto her ship. Well, Finn, who is on the run, sees all this happen and he comes back to fight. Now, bear in mind, Rey was still freaked out about the lightsaber incident, so she just kind of left it there. So Maz says, here, take this, kill the stormtroopers, and go find your girl. So Finn's like, what does this thing do? Oh, it's a lightsaber. And he just kind of slaughters all of these stormtroopers, kind of like a Jedi would. Interesting. So, Han's like, alright, get on the Falcon, we're going to get her. But first, we're going to make a pit stop. And I don't remember the name of the planet where the Resistance base is, but we're going to the planet where the Resistance base is. And who do we meet there? Poe, who is alive. Yay! How did he get there? I'm not sure. But I'm just glad he's alive because I like the actor and I like the character. He's kind of funny. So, yay, Poe Dameron's back. Who else do we see there? Leia Organa. Not Princess Leia. General
Leia.
Yeah, she doesn't do the princess thing anymore. Mainly because, Alderaan's kind of gone now. And she's kind of the leader of her people now, so General just fits better.
And you know what? I thought she was beautiful. I thought she was amazing. I was super excited to see her. All of you losers who are clowning on Princess Leia.
Expecting her to look the same way that she looked 35 years ago.
Give me a break.
Did you look the same that you did 35 years ago?
Come on, people.
Just watch the movie.
Just watch the movie. Leave the hate alone.
Just watch the
movie.
movie.
How about 2016, stop being a hater?
Yeah.
How about that? How about that you make that your resolution for 2016?
Just don't hate. Just appreciate.
Don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
So, apparently Leia and Han were a thing. We all knew that was a thing. We knew it was going to happen. Apparently they got married, and they had a baby. And his name was Ben. Ben Solo. And apparently...
Oh, yeah.
And apparently, Uncle Luke, who was the last Jedi, decided he wanted an apprentice. So who was his apprentice? Little Ben Solo. Well,
evidently he was running a school.
No, the Jedi Academy.
Yeah, he's training all sorts of little Jedi.
Right. I don't know what happened to that, but...
Don't know. I set up for the new trilogy.
I want to see the Jedi Academy. I want to go there, personally. I digress. So, what happens?
You know all those times I threatened to send you to military school?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe if it would have been Jedi Academy, you wouldn't have been so scared.
Exactly.
Anyway.
You're going to get a laser sword.
Yeah.
And do space magic, but whatever.
Yeah.
So, apparently this one particular apprentice, Ben Solo, went to the dark side. And guess what his name is now?
Kylo Ren.
Boom. So, I'm sitting there in the theater, and I figured this out, and I'm like, oh, that answers so many questions.
Yeah, and you see Kylo, like, worshipping Darth Vader. He has
a shrine with the melted helmet.
Yes.
That he just goes to for counsel, and
it's
kind of freaky.
So he knows that Darth was his grandfather, and he's kind of obsessed with it, to the point that he's made this helmet that he wears that he doesn't need. Darth Vader wore the helmet because he needed it.
Life support,
but no, he's trying to emulate his grandfather. And can I say that his mask, helmet, and his vocal modulator, whatever it is, was kind of awesome.
I enjoyed it.
It
kind of gave me chills when he walked in, because I was like, okay, this is what everyone felt like in the 70s the very first time they saw Vader.
Yeah.
That's the feeling you're getting right now.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Oh, wow.
All right.
But Kylo, you get this, you get the feeling that when you first saw Vader back then, you got the feeling this dude is evil, and he
will eat your soul.
He's cold. He is calculated. He's about something, and he's got it figured out. Like, this dude is just evil incarnate. And as a little kid seeing that, man,
it's terrifying.
Vader was like evil, crazy stuff. But Kylo is not that far along. Like, it's like he wants to be, but he doesn't have all the stuff that goes with it figured out.
He's still stuck in that angsty high school sophomore stage at this point.
Which I think is cool, because
he's like a Sithlet.
Yeah, I like the kind of flawed, like he's not perfect evil.
Right.
He's
still struggling with that Skywalker inside of him and the Solo inside of him that's not Sith. And
so his motivations are not entirely nailed down. Like, he's still trying to prove something. He's wannabe evil. Almost like he's a kid that's trying to impress his elders, so he acts out so that he can get some sort of cred.
Right.
Other than, instead of just being evil. So
it's a different form of...
It is, and I like it. Because it's it's different, and it I like the idea that that maybe everything's not so completely black and white.
Right.
You know? And that adds a lot of character and depth and texture.
Right.
Anyway, that's just my commentary on that.
Mm-hmm. So, we flash back over to the Star Destroyer, where we see Kylo interrogating Rey. Well, up until this point, Kylo's worn the mask throughout the whole movie.
Right.
And for some reason, Rey convinces him to take the mask off. And under the mask, we've probably seen the pictures from a few months ago. Assume that you haven't. You're probably expecting what we saw with Vader in Episode 6, the scarred form and the burns, and it's just messed up. No, we see fairly good-looking guy with long hair, and we're like,
yeah, he's pretty.
He's like a pretty boy.
Yeah, and he's got it. He's put together.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him to be hiding behind this mask.
Right. He looks normal.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, that's weird.
Which just solidifies the idea that he's
not
playing
completely
up to something.
Right.
Rather than this is who he is.
Mm-hmm. So Rey's being subject to his force torture and everything, but what Kylo's now expecting is that she turns it around on him. Like, no one has ever invaded his mind as he's been able to do other people, and it completely puts him off guard, and he kind of just, leaves the room, and he kind of freaks out.
Like, oh snap!
Where he goes to the big antechamber in the hologram room, where he talks to his master, Supreme Leader Snoke, in holograph form. Played by Andy Serkis, who is apparently now the go-to for every CG animated character ever.
Yeah. Did Snoke kind of remind you of the Elders on Oa?
A little bit.
A little bit. That's kind of what I was thinking the whole time. It obviously has nothing to do with each other, but that's just... I was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of Green Lantern and the Elders on Oa.
We're trying not to talk about that one, but...
Anyway,
Yeah.
Carry on.
So, we see Kylo venting to his master that, we found a captive, and she's obviously has some force sensitivity. We need to work on that, like, pronto. Now, here's where the conspiracy theories start, and the fan theories and all this. We don't really know who Snoke is, like, at all.
Yeah.
He calls himself the Supreme Leader, but we don't know who he is per se, what his birth name was. Now, someone who is much smarter than I am and much more he pays more attention to this stuff, realized that in Episode 3, when Palpatine is talking to Anakin about Darth Plagueis, how he cheated death and everything, he figured out a way to manipulate life and death.
Right.
Well, when that conversation was taking place about Darth Plagueis, there was a certain score that John Williams had written for everything.
Right.
Which sounds eerily similar to the score that he wrote for Snoke. This could mean that maybe he's the Emperor in a new body, or maybe Darth Plagueis did cheat death or something. I don't know. That's just speculation. Probably neither of them. Just saying, it's food for thought.
Well, and when you make a movie with so many loose ends that are just deliberately left wide open,
right? It's fun to play with.
Yeah, it's fun to play with. It leaves lots and lots of room for people to speculate.
Right. Let's see. So we go back to the Resistance planet, where Leia and Admiral Akbar and a few folks from the original trilogy are meeting up with Rey. Obviously not Rey, with Finn and Han and Chewbacca. They're planning a strike on this new First Order weapon called Starkiller. And they're like, oh, it sounds just like a Death Star. And Han's like, no, it's bigger. And they show the picture of a Death Star. And then they show the picture of a Starkiller. And the Starkiller is 12 times bigger than the Death Star was. And everybody's like, oh, snap.
Yeah.
Oops. All right.
I'm just going to say this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to see another Death Star.
I really don't.
Yeah. I wasn't mad about this one.
No. Considering I know what it does.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of... It's a Death Star on serious steroids. Mm-hmm. It's like a really roided out Death Star. And I understand there was a lot in this movie that's hat-tip to Episode 4 and that original trilogy. I get that. I'm not mad about it. I just don't need to see another one.
Right.
I get it. I understand what you're doing.
You have really cool weapons and everything. Give me a new one.
Just do something different.
Yes.
Let's come up with something a little different. Mm-hmm. And let's come up with something a little better than, hey, I just want to blow up planets.
Right.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah, that's a little... I'm a little done with that. Mm-hmm. So, not mad, just done with it.
Right.
Go ahead.
So, as they're having this conversation, Kylo's like, hey, let's fire up the Star Killer. Now, remember at the end of Episode 6 when the Empire had fallen, the Republic was reestablished and all that, and if you read the novels, this probably goes into way more detail.
Yeah.
Well, Kylo's like, hey, let's take 5 of the Republic planets where all the senators and all the politicians are and everyone who makes the rules. Let's kill them all. And because the Star Killer is much bigger, its firing capabilities are much better. So instead of destroying one planet at a time, it blows up 5. Because why not? So everyone in the Resistance is just helpless to watch as these 5 planets are destroyed. And they're like, we got a strike yesterday. Yeah. So, Rey is being left on the Star Killer planet. I guess that's the only name for it, the Star Killer.
Yeah.
That's what I'm calling it. And we see the Stormtrooper guarding her in this little torture table thing. And remember how Obi-Wan is really good at Jedi mind tricks. These are not the droids you're looking for. You don't want to sell me death sticks. You want to go home and rethink your life. All that stuff.
Right.
Well, here we see Rey using those Jedi mind tricks on a Stormtrooper. And at first it doesn't work. He's just like, really? Okay, that's cute. I'm going to, instead of letting you go, I'm just going to make these more uncomfortable for you.
Right.
So he gets closer to her, and she looks at him and says, you will release these bonds, and you will drop your weapon. And he's like, I will release your bonds, and I will drop my weapon, and I will leave a door open for you.
That was kind of awesome.
And apparently that Stormtrooper was played by Daniel Craig, who was James Bond, and I just kind of like that.
Yeah.
So we see that she escapes, and she's kind of sneaking around the Starkiller base, and we see Kylo come back to torture some more. But then he finds that, the torture table is empty, and then he has another one of his temper tantrums where he takes his lightsaber out, which is really cool, by the way. He just kind of destroys the room, because...
while he's screaming and throwing a hissy fit. I mean, just...
2-year-old, I can't play this toy anymore.
He just comes untrained.
Just loses it.
And just loses it.
It's kind of funny, actually.
Which is again, a look back at his maturity level and his... he's, Darth Vader would never do that.
No.
He would clench his fist. Somebody. And he may kill somebody, but he's very cold about it.
Mm-hmm. He's just gonna move on and just try something else.
Kylo is not. He is enraged, and he's very quick-tempered and a hothead, and does not have his crap together.
Nope.
Yeah. So anyway,
so we find that Han and Finn and Chewbacca are on the Millennium Falcon, and they sneak onto the Starkiller planet. And they find Captain Phasma, who was kind of played up to be this big major character, but she only had 5 lines in the whole movie. Which, okay, all right. Well, they find her and they're like, "Hey, you're gonna shut down the shields so that our fleet of X-wings can come in and blow the place up." She's like, "You're not gonna get away with this." Blah 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 blah. And Han's like, "Hey, remember that trash compactor from Episode 4? Throw her in it." He didn't say those words exactly, but he basically said those words.
Yeah.
And then we don't see Captain Phasma anymore, so I don't know if she actually wound up in there, or I don't know. We'll see in the next movie, I guess.
It's obviously... They didn't put that much emphasis on a character...
No.
To have her just disappear. She's... I think she is going to have a personal vendetta against Finn... And that may be another plot set up for, maybe she goes rogue and becomes his Boba Fett. I don't know. But something's going to happen.
I'm looking forward to it.
You cannot convince me that she won't be back and that it won't be a major plot point.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway.
So Han's like, "Hey, look at that window. Guess who I see sneaking around? It's Rey. Yay! Let's go get her, boys." So Han and Chewbacca are like, hey, we got some grenades. We're going to blow some pillars up, and it's going to lower the shields and weaken the structural integrity. Make it easier to blow the place up. Let's go do that. Well, Rey and Finn meet up and everything, and they're trying to slowly take out stormtroopers one by one. And then we see Kylo come out, and he's going on this catwalk. And Han knows that that's his boy. And he promised Leia, if I see him, I'm going to try to bring him home. So he goes on the catwalk, and he calls Ben, and Kylo stops in his track. And they have this conversation where Han's like, you don't need to wear that mask anymore. And Kylo's like, I do.
And it's eerily reminiscent of Episode 5.
It's so...
on the catwalk.
And we know what's going to happen. We see it coming. And we don't want to feel... We don't want to see, we don't want to hear, and we don't want this to happen. We know it's about to happen. Where Han approaches his son, and he has this heart-to-heart talk with him, like, you don't have to do this. We love you. Come home.
And Kylo has this...
He's torn. Like, you can see it on his... He's genuinely torn up inside.
Uh-huh. And he tells Han, his father, that he is torn.
Yes.
And that he could easily go either way. And that these two sides are tugging at him. And he even goes so far as to hand
the lightsaber
to his father, but he doesn't let go of it at the same time. So they're both standing there holding on to this lightsaber.
And then Kylo says, I need you to help me fight this. And Han says, anything you need. So he looks down at the lightsaber in his father's hand. He looks in his father in the eye. And then he stabs his father in the chest.
With a lightsaber.
And that's the point where I physically, audibly screamed no and hugged the chair in front of me. Because you don't kill Han Solo.
Now pause this for a moment. I'm at the end of the aisle. I'm at the end of the row, sitting by the aisle. You are
on the
at
opposite
side, 7 people down, because all 7 of us went. And I, throughout this whole movie, was looking over at my wife and all of my children, watching
our reactions,
your reactions to the movie as much as I was watching the screen. Because as a father,
you want to know how
I
we feel
want to
about
know,
this.
and I was vicariously reliving those first awe-inspiring moments of watching Star Wars through my children. And it was amazing. That's a whole thing that I hope every person in this world ever gets to do, because it's amazing, and there's nothing in the world like it. So this scene gave me all the feels in it.
Every
on so
feel
many levels.
Possible.
Every feel possible. Because I'm watching this father-son thing play out, which, is a whole different set of feels. And then watching...
Then that happened.
And then that happens. And not only watching all of y'all, but we were sitting close to the front. And you could... There were so many people behind me screaming at the screen, punching the air, going, "Oh no, he didn't! What?" It was crazy. It was crazy.
It's like we were all sharing that experience together, and
yeah, it was nuts.
Oh. So I'm sitting there.
So he kills him. He runs him through,
and he falls down this shaft into infinity, and I'm just sitting there numb. I felt that lightsaber hit my heart and come out through my back. I felt it. Okay, No. A piece of me died that day. Like, I'm so a little choked up about it. So, Chewbacca's mad, and Rey's mad, and Finn's mad, and then, Kylo just storms off. What? Even? Huh? So, Finn and Rey are like, no, we're not doing, no, I'm killing him. So, Finn and Rey chase Kylo down into the woods. Meanwhile, we have a whole bunch of X-Wings firing at the secret weak spot.
Finn shoots him, Kylo.
Yeah, he shoots him in the side and leaves him wounded.
Yeah, and throughout, and when he hits him, Kylo keeps balling up a fist and hitting himself,
trying to stop the bleeding, I guess.
I don't know if it's that or if he's got this self-flagellation thing. I don't know what it is, but he's obviously feeding on that, and
Like maybe he's like making himself hurt, and we can feed off of that to enhance his power. I don't know.
But it's a definite thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
he's drawing something from it.
Yeah.
So we see this lightsaber battle between Finn and Kylo. Now Finn has no lightsaber training whatsoever. Kylo has all the lightsaber training.
Right.
So we know that this is not going to end extremely well. But, it's freaking awesome. Now, remember in the prequels how they had all of those, the stupid front flips and just unnecessary... No, there's none of that. None of that. How in the old series, the lightsaber battles weren't all that great because special effects being what they were at the time. Well, you combine the good in both of those series and you put that in a lightsaber battle. And it's down, it's dirty, and I love it.
It's raw.
Raw, primal.
It's just
feral.
It's not choreographed.
Nope.
I mean, it was obviously choreographed, the stuntmen,
mm-hmm.
but you didn't get the impression that it was choreographed. You got the impression that this was seriously two dudes
hate each other,
going for blood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we see throughout the battle that Finn is holding his own fairly well, and Kylo's mad, so he's not extremely focused, so he slips up a time or two. But he strikes Finn down, like he slices across his back. Finn's down. He's passed out. He's not dead, he's just out of it. So Rey, who's kind of terrified of a lightsaber up until this point, realizes what she has to do. So Kylo is stretching out his hand, trying to force pull his grandfather's lightsaber to him to wield it against Rey. But apparently Rey's force pull is stronger. So she wields the blue lightsaber and Kylo wields the red. And they're like, alright, one of us is dying today. And that's it. So we have this down dirty battle where both hold their own exceptionally well, and Rey is just complete bad A. I'm Team Rey right now. I'm just saying. She even goes so far as to cut Kylo across his face with the lightsaber. Now, back when I was a kid, I thought that would instantly kill you, but apparently that does not. That's cool too. So right at the moment where Rey is about to kill him, the ground splits beneath them, because the rebels the resistance have hit a critical strike on the Starkiller planet, and the place is about to blow up. So the ground opens up in this big sinkhole, and there's this divide between Kylo and Rey. Neither can kill the other at the time. Both are exhausted, and both are going back to regroup until next time. So Kylo goes away to Supreme Leader Snoke, and Rey meets up with Chewbacca, carries Finn to the Millennium Falcon, and they go back to the Resistance planet. She has to do the hard thing to break the news that Han Solo is dead to Princess General Leia. And everyone's like, man. But, you know what? We survived, and we killed the Starkiller. So it's great. Well, remember R2-D2? He's been in low power mode for, a really long time.
Yeah.
Ever since Luke disappeared. Well, remember how BB-8 had a piece of the map to Luke Skywalker? R2-D2 has the rest of the map. So when R2 wakes up...
But with this one jigsaw puzzle piece hole in it.
Right. Yeah. Convenient, but, whatever. Yeah. So R2 takes his part of the map, BB-8 puts his part of the map, and they get this thing where alright, we know where Luke is now. Right?
So it's this cool scene where R2 projects this hologram with a hole missing, and then BB-8 projects a hologram with the missing piece. They merge together. It's corny. Mm-hmm. It's kind of stupid,
but you know what?
But I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
So Rey's like, I guess I'm gonna find Luke Skywalker now. So she takes the Millennium Falcon because Han's not there to tell her she can't. I'm still not gonna get used to that.
Yeah.
So she winds up on this big aquatic planet that looks kind of like.
But you've got this great scene of Rey and Chewie taking off and flying off, which is very reminiscent of Leia and Chewie, flying off after Han, goes into the carbonite.
This is true.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, there's lots of hat tips to, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, this is just a total remake of the first movie." It is not a total remake of the first movie.
It's very similar to it.
It's very similar. A lot of the same story beats. A lot of things that feel deja vu. but it's not a remake. It's a continuation with a lot of nods to the original, and that's a completely different argument about whether that's needed, necessary, whatever. I'm just saying, as a fan, it's very satisfying. Does it make for a perfect movie? No, absolutely not. And a lot of things they did would be unforgivable, maybe with a less iconic property. Maybe. But we're talking about Star Wars.
Just let it be.
Let it be.
So, we find Rey landing on this planet that looks a lot like the Orkney Islands.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So she starts climbing this mountain in the middle of the ocean and everything. And she reaches the top, and she sees this lone figure with a robotic hand wearing a gray cloak. And then I see Luke Skywalker, and I'm like, that's my boy. That's my boy. So she...
Looking very Obi-Wan-ish.
Very Obi... Oh my gosh. Wow. So he's just kind of staring off into the distance, and he senses that someone's watching him. So he turns around, and he sees Rey, who is holding out his old lightsaber. Neither of them say anything. Just looking each other in the eye, and the camera pans around them both. Credits. I don't know why she didn't scream, "Hi, Dad," or why he didn't say, "Hi, I think you're my daughter," because, let's be real, they're probably related.
Yeah.
But I'm not...
It never says that he's her father.
Never does.
But, Leia hugs her and, really holds on to her. There's... my personal theory is that she is his daughter.
There's another theory that she's Ben Kenobi's daughter.
Oh, snap.
Because, think about it. What was Ben doing for that 30 years in between episodes 3 and 4? Now, the Jedi try not to get attached to anybody and everything, but, the Jedi Order had fallen. There were no more. And if Ben wanted something like a backup plan in case Luke didn't succeed, what better way to have a daughter or a granddaughter or something like that? So, they both have a blue lightsaber. And remember in episode, I guess it was 5 or 6, where Obi-Wan's like, this boy's our last hope, and Yoda's like, no, there's another one. What if Rey was the other one as Ben's granddaughter? I don't know. I'm just saying. There's a whole article about this that explains it in better detail. And it's probably not true. Maybe it is. I don't know. It's fun to think about. What was he doing for that 30 years? He could have found somebody. He could have made a kid or two. I don't know. I'm just saying. What if, we thought Anakin was the chosen one to bring balance to the Force. And that didn't happen. Well, we thought Luke was going to do that. But,
And maybe he still will.
Maybe he still will. I don't know. But what if, the Skywalkers were supposed to be the ones that did it, but failed, and Obi-Wan, who was the most pure and most honorable and most valiant and noble Jedi of all, he was the one who ultimately led the Force to be balanced. I don't know.
I have a theory about where Luke is, by the way.
Where?
I believe he's on Earth.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Where on Earth?
I think he's probably around the Orkney Islands.
Probably.
Or, somewhere like that. And I think he's on Earth. Mm-hmm. I think since Disney bought Star Wars and Marvel, that he probably is is waiting to hook up with Thor.
No, he did it.
Yeah, I'm just putting it out there.
Anyway. I guess it's possible now.
Oh, it's possible. Should they do that?
No,
I'm
probably not. Yeah, no,
I'm not endorsing this.
No, don't touch that.
But I'm just saying it could happen. It could happen. So, if you've gotten to this point and you've not yet seen Star Wars...
What are you doing with your life, first of all?
Yeah, do not send us hate mail because we ruined all the things.
I'm sorry.
Because we gave you...
7 chances in the beginning of the episode. Chances.
So, anyway. Thanks for letting us nerd out with you this year.
Yeah, we appreciate it a lot.
We'll see you in 2016.
May the Force be with you. I had to. I'm sorry, I had to.
Peace out, y'all.
Goodbye.